Yeah?
Yeah.
My number 2 is Gears of War Judgment, or because we're using the American spelling, Gears of War Judgment. Judgment.
It's also my number 2.
Oh, sweet. Okay, right. I can't remember who said it. Someone I follow on Twitter said Gears of War Judgment, God of War Ascension. They're exactly the same thing, and there is a lot to be said in favour of that statement. For the first... you finished the campaign, obviously, right?
Yes.
Yeah. For the first 2 hours, I was solidly just thinking, oh dear, this is not Gears of War. They've completely screwed everything up. And to be honest, I am still a little bit surprised at how praiseworthy some of the critical reaction by and large has been very, very sort of high. And I don't know how. What did you think?
Well, last week I did the little teaser, didn't I? I said it was anti-Tomb Raider, and what I meant by that is that, you know, for all Tomb Raider does right, it does a lot of the whole push up while the game plays around you, you know. Whereas this, you know, the Gears games had actually done that before. Whereas this was just combat. Yeah. The whole game is just the combat, stripped back and refined to better than it's ever been, in my opinion. And it's all action, and it incorporates an AI director in a similar way to Left 4 Dead. So when you replay sections, it's different. The spawns are different. The enemies are different. And I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed it. It did start to drag a little bit towards the end because there isn't any set pieces. You know, there's some brilliant. You could call them set pieces, like settings for the combat, and some great stuff later on, like the beach landing. I don't know if you got that far. It's fucking awesome.
I finished it.
But there's no like giant boss battles or fucking crazy shit, you know, buildings falling down, classic Gear stuff, big, you know, monsters coming out of the sea or anything like that. It's just the core combat, almost like the multiplayer turned into a campaign. With the scoring system and stuff. I thought that was really cool, but that's what I meant by it's the anti-Tomb Raider. Okay. But I didn't think it was on the level of you know, the first 3 games.
I think it's comfortably the weakest Gears of War game of the lot. I did warm to it the longer it went on. I mean, the lack of set pieces was a problem. I mean, the story is, you know, they're on trial, and the whole thing's delivered via voiceover, and you play through different characters throughout the campaign. But it is literally, you'll hear a voiceover, you'll see footage of them walking up to something, and then you'll see them kick a door in, and then it's basically a round of Horde. There's a possibility that I might go back and play this on co-op with a mate, and I am very, very eager to see. I want to count how many times a door got kicked in, because after a while I was like, and that became exhausting in itself. The fact that there was no set pieces was one thing, because that's what Gears does so well. It was like A to B, Horde, A to B, Horde. You were doing Horde, you were just in a small area, you took out all the enemies, and then you moved on, and there was a cutscene, and then you kicked the door in, and then you did exactly the same thing again. Initially that was kind of exhausting, but I did start to warm to it, because I mean at the start of every skirmish, there's the option to take a declassify mission, which you know, it's just a load of stipulations. Either the enemies are harder, or they're brandishing harder weapons, or you have to beat the level within a time limit, or the best ones were when they obscured the level with either dust or gas. Or I was like, every time that came up, I'm taking that. That made the game really exciting. You just get heavy weapons and just sort of go out into the darkness. It's a really funny one. I am surprised that people have been as positive as they are. I think it's a solid 7 out of 10 game, but when you compare it to, it's like God of War. I did think that was a noticeable step down from God of War 3, and this is the same. It does feel like a stopgap. It is ODST to sort of Gears of War. It's
definitely ODST. That's the feeling that I had going into it. I think I was expecting it to kind of be like it was, so I wasn't going in. I was surprised by the lack of set pieces, but I think I got my head around what the game was going to be pretty early on, and I felt this is a Gears game for people who love the Gears combat. You know, the people who've played hours and hours and hours of multiplayer. This is a campaign for them to just fucking smash stuff up, play it on a hard difficulty, play it on co-op. And I like that if you did every declassified mission, which I did every single one, it actually gave the campaign more variety than it's ever had before, because every single battle has its own personality. You know, one, you can only use the bolt-top pistol or something, and that will change all the enemies. If you then go back and do it undeclassified, all the enemies will be different, so it actually gears what you fight to what the stipulation is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So each one becomes, set piece is the wrong word, but it becomes its own little game, little sort of combat puzzle almost. And when I started getting my head around that, plus the scoring system where it's like Bulletstorm stripped all the way back to just a few basic things, isn't it?
Yeah.
To get the 3 stars, I actually started to really enjoy it. It only started to drag a little bit for me towards the end, because I had to do it in like 1.5 days as well for the review. So I'd imagine most people will stretch out a little bit longer than that. But I dug it. I don't think it's as good as 1 to 3, but I did dig it.
I enjoyed it as well. I suppose I was just sort of very, very mildly shell-shocked, because it was, you expect certain things from a Gears game, and this didn't deliver them. But I did have fun with it. I mean, the declassified missions, there were some that I avoided when it was like, beat this level in 2 minutes. I'm like, well, I don't know where to go. I don't know what I'm going to be presented with. But the first 3 Gears of War games were excellent video games that were made all the better by co-op. If you could play those games on co-op, great. If you couldn't, then they were still excellent experiences. This, I feel like co-op is mandatory. Although I haven't played co-op, thinking back and just how the difficulty sort of was shaped around these declassified missions and stuff like that, I think that this will benefit hugely from co-op. And some of my friends are going to get it, so I may talk about it next week, having played it on co-op. It is stripped back, it is sort of simplified to a certain degree, and I enjoyed it. I just think that if anyone's expecting Gears of War 4, be careful. Yeah,
it definitely ain't that, but I like what People Can Fly have done with the sort of core movement and small little changes they've done to the way the combat works as well. The fact that you can now change your guns with Y instead of having to bring up the D-pad menu, the quick-fire grenades, rolling's quicker, getting in and out of covers quicker. Small things that, like I said, it's for Gears fans. You know, people who don't really care about Gears and are sort of dipped in and out of the series are not going to notice this shit, and it's not going to matter to them. But there's a fucking sizable audience that played hundreds of hours. That kind of thing does matter a lot.
Yeah.
I know. I was kind of for all of that stuff, and the multiplayer's good as well. The overrun mode is cool.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it really is. Have you played much of it?
I've only played a bit, because I must admit, when I was playing it, I was like, this is cool, I like the ideas, I'm having fun, but I'm not in a multiplayer place at all. I'm just not interested in online multiplayer. I played too much for me in the last few years. It all starts to feel the same regardless of what game it is, but I think, again, Gears is, for many people, is a multiplayer game, and COD is the game that's always at the top of the charts and whatnot, but Gears is always there. It's always there in like third, so that means a fuckload of people are playing it all the time, and I don't think they'll be disappointed with overrun mode. There's the free for all. I tried the free for all, which was just a fucking nightmare. But if you're good, I imagine it's fun, but I'm not good.
If you're good at Gears, you're just very good at hiding behind knee-high cover with a shotgun.
Yeah.
That's how you win at Gears. Overrun mode, for anyone that doesn't know, is basically rush mode from Battlefield. That's basically what it is. Although there's only one objective. You're either the I was going to say the fucking Covenant. I always call them the Locust. You're either the Locust attacking a fortification, or you're the Gears trying to defend it. And it's brilliant, but as someone who plays Battlefield way too much, I don't know whether I could. It's Battlefield rush mode in microcosm, and so much more intense, because you only have 5 people per side, and there's 4 different classes, and you just the only problem with it is that the spawns take longer, so you can't make snap decisions, and it's when you're getting attacked and 3 of your guys get wiped out, sitting there and waiting while they're caning your fortifications, it's like, you have to know exactly what to do. I like the fact that med packs are throwable, so you can see someone getting hammered and you can throw. I mean, basically, I think it's an ingenious mode. What I'm not sure about is that I can't remember how many different gameplay modes were in like Gears of War 3 and 2, but I think there were less than there are in this, and I think it would have done them well to sort of implement Overrun like as a DLC pack for the other Gears of War games as well, because I think there's less modes in this.
There's only 4 right now. They're patching in Warzone and Execution. But there's still TDM from 3. There is a Domination mode, which I don't think I've even tried, I must admit, and Overrun, which I played a fair amount of, and Free For All. And then they changed Horde to incorporate the new classes, because there's classes in Overrun. So it's for Gears fans, and I think as long as they go in knowing that it should be. ODST did a great job by being a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
And then it set itself up. It established itself as don't expect this, and you'll be fine. And I think if this could have done that as well, even though it's way better and has way more content than a lot of games that cost full price, in terms of perception, I think it would have a lot easier ride. But I still really liked it, so I'm sure.
I really liked it too. I mean, it took half of the campaign for me to realise that what it was. I was expecting something, it wasn't that, and then I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's definitely worth getting. Incidentally, Gears of War, I still maintain it's the worst sounding game of all time. It's just, it's unholy, the noise that comes out of Gears of War. Just hearing it, I'm just like, if my neighbours are listening, just the
chainsaws and
the chainsaws, your guys screaming, the enemies wailing, just everyone shouting, the music. I mean, it's the most unholy fucking racket.
Oh, the music was pretty good in this. It sounded like Nine Inch Nails. Trent Reznor had done it. They did a good facsimile of a Reznor soundtrack, I thought.
Wow, it made no impression on me. I didn't even notice that.
Really? It was more sort of brooding synthy stuff. I liked it.
Okay, it didn't make an impression on me. Incidentally, the new female character, they really did break the mould with her. Well, you know, props to them for breaking the mould with that character. A feisty redhead with an impeccably shaped backside.
Yeah.
Nice.
But at least they made a cover up.
Made a cover up.
They made a cover. She didn't have her
buns out,
hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah, well done for not having.
Credit. These small victories.
Yeah.
And they lost every right idea.